Hi everybody, it's Kirby from the Home Corner, and today we are celebrating World Braille Day. It's a great way of raising awareness with our children. They are never too young to be talking about differences like this, and it's really important in developing their PSED and understanding the world as they learn that everybody has similarities and differences, but we are all equally as beautiful and unique and important. So I've got some really fun interactive ways, ideas and activities that you can do with your children to raise awareness around Braille and what Braille is, and fostering those conversations with your children. So first of all, Braille, if you saw the post yesterday, the letters are based on a grid of 6. I've got a real kind of rough drawing for you here. So grid of 6, if you can see that. And then the letters are made up by having the different combinations of dots raised. So the way we can do this with our children can be very practical. So all you need is a tin or a grid of 6. And again, as with everything, it's using anything that you have around your house. So think of things like egg boxes. I don't actually have an egg box here today, but I do have a play egg box from my son's toy box. So in true Home Corner style, it's whatever you've got around your house. So without naming the brand, if you've had a young child, you probably are aware of these eggs. And these are in a grid of 6, like the Braille letters. So you could use anything like pom-poms or small balls to put in the holes to represent the different letters. So for example, if I wanted to do an A, I'd put my pom-pom in the top left-hand circle here. So that would be how we would represent A in Braille. So you could use egg boxes, play egg boxes. I've got a baking tray. Now mine is actually a baking tray of 12. So what I've done, I've just drawn a line down the middle here, that my pom-pom's falling out, to separate so I could use it to make 2-letter words. So here, for example, I've made a H by popping my pom-poms into the relevant holes, and an I, so I've written the word hi in Braille. So if you've got slightly older children that are already learning 2-letter words in their phonics, for example, you could use something like this. So lots of different ways you can do it, with balls, with pom-poms, anything you have, baking trays, egg boxes. You could use written grids or cardboard grids like this and balance, excuse my dog whining in the background, where you could balance buttons on the appropriate circles as well. It's whatever you have to hand. So you can do this in a number of ways. You could challenge your children to make 1 letter. You could challenge them to make small words, so maybe using 2 letters or 3 letters. So can you make the word dog, like my whiny dog, in Braille? Or if you've got slightly older children or children who are up for a bit more of a challenge, maybe you could set them the challenge to make their name in Braille, which is what I am going to attempt to do for you now, using a really roughly drawn grid here. So you might want to prepare this in advance for your children with the right amount of letters that they've got in their name. So I've made 5 here for Kirby. You might have individual cards. It's completely up to you. This is just to give you some inspiration in how you can do this. And I'm going to use a cork because that's a nice circle, and paint to paint my name in Braille. As I say, you could balance anything on here, buttons, dried beans. I'm really sorry, I think Finn wants some screen time today. Anything to make that tactile and represent something like Braille. So before I show you that overhead, my last idea for you is a really good fun one. You could play as a family, or if you've got siblings, get older siblings to join in. But if you've got some circles like this, so I've got 6 to represent the Braille grid, and you could tape them to the floor, and you could have a game of Braille Twister. So maybe you've printed off the Braille alphabet or something, and throw a beanbag. What letter did you land on? You've landed on Y. Can you make the letter Y using like a Twister style game? If your children are really into Lego, or you've got Duplo or Lego around, that's another really good resource that you could use to represent Braille. So using the baseboard and the pieces to represent the dots. So I hope you've enjoyed some of those ideas. It would be great to hear if you've done any of those with your children. So I'd love to see any photos or videos below of any of the activities you've done to celebrate World Braille Day. If you have younger children and babies, another way you could do this is just by exploring different textures. So with children who have visible disabilities or who are blind, they, for young babies, they just do lots of tactile play, sensory play through touch. So you can do this with younger children as well to celebrate World Braille Day, exploring different textures. So thinking about soft, fluffy, hard, rough. So you might think about tissues, feathers, pom-poms, ribbons, sandpaper, sponges, lots of different textures for your child to explore, so they can also be included in World Braille Day. I have made a texture book for my baby and I will share that with you in a later video. So have fun. I'm going to go overhead now and show you my attempt of making my name in Braille. So here we are overhead using my roughly drawn out grid here with 5 Braille letter grids. As I say, you could use something like buttons or dried beans to do yours. I'm using a cork and paint to make it a bit more of a media activity. So Kay would use this circle, this one and the bottom one. So that would be K in Braille. And then I is top and across diagonally. R is 1, 2, 3, and 1 in the middle. So I'm just using the Braille alphabet that I posted for you yesterday as a reference point. B are these two here, and Y, and all the way down here and across. So this would also be a great fine motor activity as well. So using hand-eye coordination. If you're doing the Braille twister, that would be a great way of doing some gross motor skills development, as well as developing our awareness around Braille and acceptance and developing our empathy. So that's my name in Braille. That would say Kirby. So as I say, have fun. I'd love to see the activities that you've done. Maybe it's one of the ones I've mentioned today, or you've been inspired and created your own. I would love to see what you've been up to.